Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a video that I've been needing to do for a pretty long time. Since I started YouTube when the girls were 2, I think, I kind of like missed all of the important videos because our journey was already like in the middle. I did a little bit touch base in our story video. That video is so long and it's so not well done because it's my first video. I don't know, it definitely, those parts could be retold, plus I told like everything from the beginning to the end, so if I break it down into smaller pieces, I can go in more in depth and not have an hour-long video. So at the beginning of my pregnancy, at my 10-week checkup, I went in there, I didn't know it was twins, they scanned me, they listened to the heartbeat, and then they made a joke about how there was 2 heartbeats and whatever, like, haha, it's twins, but it's actually not, because it's you and the baby's heartbeat. Little did he know at that time that it was actually twins. So where I was living up north, they have limited resources and it's harder to get into things, so ultrasounds only get done at 20 weeks or if you know you're having twins. And because I didn't know I was having twins, I had to wait until 20 weeks. And up until this point, I had no idea it was twins. I was probably about 130 pounds when I got pregnant, so the only sign I would have maybe had is that my jeans stopped fitting really early. Like, they didn't fit me at 8 weeks and you're barely even supposed to show. It didn't look like I was having twins. My morning sickness, I would say, is good for a regular pregnancy, never mind with twins. And the only thing was that I was really tired. These are all regular pregnancy symptoms. I wasn't gaining too much weight in the beginning. Like, they would weigh me and he said like it's a healthy amount of weight, whatever. So we had no idea. We go into the ultrasound and I'm in there alone and DB is out there with his son and they're scanning me. And instantly she was like, all right, I'm just gonna have to tell him that it's gonna be a little bit more time. I'm like, okay. And she's like, cause there's 2 babies. And then instantly I just start hyperventilating because no idea to this point, and I don't know that there's anything wrong. At this point I'm just like, oh my god, I'm having twins. So while they were gone, I quickly grabbed my phone because they wouldn't let DB come in until after everything was done. And I started texting people saying like, it's twins, oh my god. And then I put away my phone and I didn't get to see it for another 30 minutes. And everybody thought I was joking because it's kind of something I would have joked about back then. It's haha, it's twins, but it's not really. But from the amount of time that I texted them to not, they eventually caught on. At first it was like, haha, yeah, right. And then it was like, Bonnie, what are you doing? Why aren't you answering? And it's like, oh my god, you're serious. Oh, I wish I had those text messages still. So anyways, the ultrasound tech comes back in and she's scanning me and she's saying how one of them is smaller and she can't tell me much more than that. Like, ultrasound techs are really not supposed to tell you anything. I asked them if it's like identical or fraternal or if they can tell, and she says that it's 1 placenta, but that doesn't mean that it's identical, which actually it does, but unless if they have 2 placentas and they fuse together, which is very, very, very uncommon. I'm not sure if they told me before or after DB came in the room that one was small, but when they told me, my instant reaction was, it's fine, she's just the runt, like, it's fine. But I didn't really understand how much smaller she was or what that meant. So once they told me that, they said that we had to go sit and emerge, and we sat there all day and we were waiting for the doctor to come back and explain a little bit more, and it took forever because these doctors didn't know anything, so they were waiting for Children's to tell them what to tell me. Pretty much what they said is they don't know if the twins were going to make it. All they could tell me was that the one twin was on the last percentile for size, which is very scary, and that we had to go to Children's. And this was actually on a Thursday that we were in there, and they said that we would have to go to Children's on Monday, which was actually Valentine's Day of 2011. When I asked them how long we would be there for, they said plan for a day or 2. That's it, a day or 2. Which was a little bit under-exaggerated. For the next like 3 days, I'm like freaking out because I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm like, if these babies are gonna make it, and like, I don't know, I just felt like very confused. I didn't sleep for like pretty much all of that time. Having twins is like a dream come true to me. Like, when I was in high school, maybe not high school, maybe just outside of high school, I told like a bunch of people how I really wanted twins, and like my aunts are twins, and like I just thought it'd be really sweet to have twins. And people remember me saying that because when I told them it was twins, they were like, that's so funny that you would get twins. But anyways, so it was like a dream come true to me, but then also to be like told you have twins and that they like might not make it, it was a lot to deal with, especially when you don't even know like what's going on. And obviously during that time I'm also like, oh my god, I didn't take enough prenatal vitamins and I didn't eat properly, or I don't know, whatever. You blame yourself for those 3 days that it's your fault and you did something wrong. mainly because you have no idea what's going on. So me and DB went to Children's Hospital. We talked to all the doctors. They said that they were monocryonic, yeah, twins, and that they share a placenta and that they didn't split in half. It was kind of like one of the sides was like 70% and then the other one was just 30, so that's like quite a bit smaller. They said that baby A was measuring 2 weeks smaller than baby B, and the problem is that since we hadn't had another ultrasound, they really didn't know how long she had been small for, so she could have just stopped growing or she could have been small from the start, and because we didn't have any ultrasounds, there was no way to know that for sure. So we were given a few options, and I want to go into extreme details about this because I had kind of mentioned this in the end of dad questions video. But the only reason I mentioned it in that video is because I was trying to show you guys like how he is, but not like be like, oh, he's a great person or oh, he's a bad person, but I was trying to say like something positive to outweigh, like to equal out all the bad I said. And honestly, this is the only good thing about him. So that's why I said in the video, I didn't go into full detail because that's not what the video was about. The video was about talking about DB, so I wouldn't just stop in the video and explain for 30 minutes why there was options or why I chose that. No, what the video was about was, it was about saying how DB did something good. That was what it was about. So the first option was to terminate pregnancy, and obviously I was not going to terminate the pregnancy. It didn't even cross my mind for a second. I was just like, okay, next. The second option was to terminate baby A, and I am going to explain this after I tell you all of the options. It's quite long explanation. Number 3 was to go home and do nothing, and there was no way I was going to go home and just wait for these babies to die inside me. That's just crazy. And the fourth option was to stay in Vancouver for close monitoring, and that would involve 2 to 3 ultrasounds a week. To begin with, I'm going to explain to you the risks of not terminating baby A. Alright, so the first risk was that baby A could die at any time. And I'm not going to refer to them as Hannah and Haley. You can guess at which one is what. At this time, they weren't Hannah and Haley to me. They were baby A and they were baby B. I'm not thinking about them as the children that we all know. I'm thinking of them how I thought of them back then, which was baby A and baby B. So baby A could die at any time because at any time, the placenta wouldn't be enough for her. So because it was not split in half, she would eventually outgrow her portion of the placenta and then she wouldn't get any nutrients, there wouldn't be any blood flow, so then she would pass. Another risk would be when she passed, she would either also make baby B pass or leave baby B extremely brain damaged because there was a few connecting things in their placenta, which is kind of hard to explain. If you know what twin to twin is, it's because their placenta is joined and then there's like connecting vessels, I don't know, I can't remember, that make it so that the blood flows back and forth between those. There wasn't that many in their placenta, but if baby A would have passed, then it would have made it so that the blood going to baby B also had to circulate all the way into baby A and then back into baby B. So that's too much dead space to make it so that baby B wouldn't be affected at all. So either she would completely pass or she would be like to the point of passing and just have extreme brain damage. And at this time, I didn't know anything about like cerebral palsy, brain damage, breathing tubes, anything like that. But when I picture that image of the blood circulating around and brain damage, I picture a wheelchair like extreme vegetable state. That's what came to mind when I thought about baby B surviving that, is vegetable. Another risk is that at some point baby A will go into stress. So at some point she will need to be delivered and it won't be at full term. She would be premature at some point, but nobody knows at what point. And another risk with that is just because I'm doing ultrasounds 2 to 3 times a week, she could have passed in between those appointments. So she could have just went extremely into distress and then been gone by the next appointment. My whole time in Vancouver, I was constantly in fear that she had passed and I was freaking out, and it was like the most terrible feeling in the world. Alright, so I'm going to explain some stuff to you now, which is another risk. There's a survival rate for premature children. I'm just going to read it off, that's why I'm looking down. It's 21 weeks, 0 for survival rate. 22 weeks is 0 to 10%. 23 is 10 to 35%. 24 is 40 to 75%. 25 is 50 to 80%. 26 is 80 to 90%. And 27 is greater than 90. Now, that being said, Hannah was measuring 2 weeks smaller. So we got to the hospital at, I'm gonna round it up just in case if it was 20 weeks, I can't remember if it was 20 or 21 weeks, but 21 weeks is not viable. Baby A would have been 19 weeks, At 22 weeks, baby B would have been 10% viable, while baby A would have been 21 weeks and not viable. At 24 weeks, which is the youngest they like to deliver, baby A would have been 22 weeks, which is only 10% viable. At 25 weeks, baby A would have only been 23 weeks, which is only 10 to 35% viable. It wouldn't have been until 26 weeks when baby A would have been 24% viable, which is 40 to 75% viable. So 26 was what we needed her to get to be able to have any chance in surviving. At 29 weeks, she should have been 27 weeks, which is 90% viable. Notice that I said should have been. Ultrasounds get measured every 2 weeks. You have to wait 2 weeks before you can get an accurate measurement if the baby has grown. By keeping baby A, what I needed is for us to all get to 26 weeks. So then she could have been 24 weeks. And we were at 20 weeks, 21 weeks, so we had 4 weeks to go and nothing to guess on. You can only terminate a fetus until 23 weeks and 4 days, at least in this case. I'm not talking about abortion, I'm talking about like this medical situation. The reason for that is because you can't clamp it properly, so then there's too much of a risk that the other one will get brain damage. We only had until 23 weeks and 4 days to make up our mind, and that was like 2-3 weeks max to decide if baby A was going to keep growing, especially with the fact that you can only measure every 2 weeks. So we only got one measurement in from the time that we found out we were having twins and that one was sick to decide what we were going to do. And I just said the numbers to you guys, and we needed to get to 26 weeks for her to be at 24 weeks, get farther than 26 weeks. 26 weeks was the minimum of what we could go to, because if they needed to be delivered before 26 weeks, say they got delivered at 24 weeks, baby A would have passed because she was too little, and then baby B would have had severe premature complications. I hope I explained that in a way that you guys kind of understand that she had to get to a certain point so that baby A would make it and baby B would make it. The risk of terminating baby A was that 5% chance that baby B would die. I think there was a 5% chance that baby B would have brain damage, and there was a high risk of preterm labor. The chances of them having brain damage and not making it were much, 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 much greater if we were to do nothing like what we did. It turned out amazing. Like, we got lucky. It was like gambling because there's no way to know what was going to happen. We got lucky. This is what I admitted in the dad question video. I wanted to terminate because I'm having the doctors tell me that, well, one doctor was for terminating, the other kind of didn't want to sway us in any way. But I'm having the doctors tell me and give me these facts, and I'm 21 and scared. I think that it's the best choice to terminate, to lose both of them or have like severe brain damage. I wasn't thinking about how they were going to be born premature or what that meant, or that we were going to end up with the trach, because I didn't know any of this. I didn't even think that we would have a blind child. I thought that like the NICU would be easy and whatever. That's not why I picked terminating. I picked terminating because it sounded like it was the safest route, because everything else was bad. It just sounded like what we should do. That's why I picked it. That's the only reason I picked it. DB is the reason that we changed our mind. He talked me out of it, and I honestly thought that everybody sitting in that room was on the same page as what I thought. Like, that's what I was under the impression. My mom was also there, and I don't think she ever told me what her opinion was, because she didn't want to get involved. I should ask her now, but I seriously thought that everybody thought the same as me, because seriously, that's just what it sounded like was the best option. So DB talked me out of it, which is amazing, because both girls lived, and you know, Hannah might be sick, but she doesn't have any mental problems. She's not in a wheelchair. She's an active, happy 3-year-old. Like, the trach she's gonna grow out of, we're probably almost out of it. Honestly, if you were to ask me if I would have rather severely cerebral palsy child or trach any day. DB did convince me not to terminate, but what he did was, he didn't really convince me to keep her. He more so convinced me to wait the next scan. If she grew, then keep her. She did go 2 more weeks, so that was our answer. We were keeping her, and we were just gonna hope for the best. And then I still had ultrasounds 2 to 3 days a week up until the day that they were delivered. At 26 weeks, she actually stopped growing. So at 26 weeks, she was only the size of a 24 weeker, which is the very smallest gestation that we wanted her to get to. So at least she got to that. Anyways, I'm gonna end this video. I will talk about being on bed rest and our labor and delivery, or just delivery, in the next video. Please ask you guys not to judge, because I know it sounds bad, but honestly, have you ever been in this situation before? It's scary having a doctor tell you that, you know, you can pick, and if you pick wrong, that they're gonna die or they're gonna have brain damage, and you only get to make one choice, and you only have so long to make that choice. I would have been really sad to have terminated, because I would have looked at baby B and I would have thought about how there should have been another one of her for the rest of my life. Yeah, I'm really thankful that it turned out the way it did. I'm really glad that DB helped me think about how we should wait for that 2 weeks and then see what happens after that. I did a lot of Googling during that time, and I found a lot of horror stories, and not everybody got as lucky as I did. Most people that I read didn't get as lucky as I did. Most people's babies passed in the middle of the night. Anyways, I'm not gonna say I hope you enjoyed this video, because I hope that you found it interesting. I hope you didn't enjoy it. But yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.